audited account of the county government and its entities. The purpose of Nyandarua County Civil Servant Car Loans and Mortgage Scheme Fund in Nyandarua County Executive, State and Public Officers Car Loans and Mortgage Scheme Fund is to transform the lives and livelihood of, of the state and public officers by giving them dignity and expanding their opportunities. Its principal activity is to grant car loans and mortgage to the state officers. The committee, through the Office of the Clerk, requested for the written submission on the audit queries for the fund of the financial year ended 30th June 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. To this end, the committee has only received submission for 1 year, that is the year 2021. The committee is waiting submission on other 3 financial years so that it can be able to present the comprehensive report on the comprehensive report to the House. In this regard, the committee requests to be granted 90 more days. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Dan. The progress report is duly tabled. The leave sought is well explained and deserving, and so granted as sought. So, Chairperson, ensure that the report is ready within the timeline requested, which is 90 days. Clerk Alexander.
Order number 6, notices of motion. As per your earlier directions, we proceed to order number 7, statements. Order number 8, motions and bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have a motion to be moved by Honorable John Duagashino, Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development.
Honorable John Duagashino, Chairperson, Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development, member for Kanjuri Ridge. And congratulations, Honorable Duagashino. You look very smart today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to table the report of the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development on garbage collection and dumping sites across the county. Mr. Speaker, sir, I take this opportunity to thank the mover of the motion.
Honorable Speaker, point of information.
Yes, Honorable Kashamba.
Mr. Speaker, I want to understand whether the chair, Committee on Land and Urban Planning and Lands and Fiscal Planning, Urban Development, whether he's moving the motion or tabling, because I have heard him say he wants to table, and he went straight to the motion.
Yes, Honorable Kashamba, respond.
Clarification, Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Milka.
Speaker, it seems that we do not have the document in our gadgets, so we wish to request if they can be sent to us before the motion is moved for us to compare notes.
Thank you, Honorable Milka. ICT, ensure every member has got the document in their budget before we proceed for ease of reference. Maybe in the meantime, as we are supplied with the document, Honorable Rashino, you can respond to Honorable Shamba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm tabling a motion.
The motion is not moved.
I'm moving a motion. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Honorable Shamba, you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. If we can take 1 minute as we wait for ICT to supply the document. Maybe in the meantime, as we wait for the ICT to furnish the document, Honorable Muhindi, you can tell us more about the county. Anything. Just have the privilege to greet the members.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, honorable members. The county is going well. since we have a speaker's Kamkuji that we are eagerly waiting for. All other matters are going well. Thank you.
Thank you. ICT, has the gadget been maybe, honorable members, as the ICT is working on it, we can be doing the introduction so that we can have by the time they have it will be done with the introduction, the document will be in the system. So, Honorable
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I would like to move the motion on Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development on garbage collection and dumping site across the county. Mr. Speaker, sir, I take this opportunity to thank the mover of the motion that sparked the debate on garbage collection and dumping sites in the county, Honorable Peter Gadongo Kamau, MC Reshau Podowand, in a very special way. Further, I appreciate the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk for giving the committee with logistical support during this exercise. I extend my gratitude to the committee members for their commitment and contribution to the compilation of this report. The committee also wishes to record its appreciation for the services rendered by the County Assembly staff, which enabled the production of this report. The committee also thanks the department for its cooperation in providing information. On behalf of the committee, Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development, I have the honor and the pleasure of presenting this motion to the House. The members of the committee include I, John Gashino, Chairperson, Esther Waithera Wangari, Vice Chair, and members, Ereja Mwangi Nyaga, Hussein Dongo Kazana, Duncan Gedenchi, Ibrahim Maina, Ibrahim Mwangi, Daniel Gitau, Naomi Mudhoni, and Joyce Wanjiru, and the Secretariat is David Mutai Dongo. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the morning plenary sitting of October 31st, 2023, Honorable Peter Gadongo Kamau, MCA, moved a motion addressing the issues of garbage collection and dumping sites across the county. The resolution of the motion were as follows: that the Committee of Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development does within 30 days give progress of the purchase of lands for the establishment of dumping sites in county and follow up on physical and part development plans that have been approved for the development of towns and urban centers in county, and come up with appropriate measures to avoid of usage of private land and road reserves as holding areas for waste and garbage awaiting transportation.
So, members, the document is on the tablet now.
Subsequent.
Just a minute, Honorable Commissioner. Every member has. Whoever does not have can signal the ICT officer who is in the plenary. So, Honorable Commissioner, proceed.
Subsequent to the Speaker's directive, the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development was tasked with investigating the matter and providing a response to the concern raised within 30 days. In compliance with the directive, the committee, through the Office of the Clerk, dispatched a letter referenced NCA/CRLK/01/CS/67/23 and dated November 3rd, 2023, to the County Executive Committee member, CECM, responsible for the Department of Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development, seeking clarification and further details regarding the management of solid waste within the county. In response, the department submitted a letter dated November 14th, 2023, referenced as Nyandarua /LPPU ND /ADM.28 /Volume 2/20, addressing the committee's concern The committee duly reviewed the submitted documents and prepared a comprehensive report, which was subsequently presented to the House on March 12, 2024. The members of the House engaged in thorough deliberations on the matter. According to the information provided by the department, it was indicated that plans were underway to collaborate with the Department of Health, identifying suitable sites for solid waste management. These sites were to undergo the land acquisition process contingent upon the availability of budgetary allocation. Consequently, the committee was to submit a detailed report at the end of the financial year once the budget had been fully utilized. However, as of the close of the previous financial year, the department had not provided the requisite information. In light of this, the committee issued a reminder letter referenced as NCA/CLRK/14/CEC lands /37/34/37/24 on August 15, 2024, requesting the necessary details. Unfortunately, the department failed to respond to this communication. In response to the continued lack of feedback, the committee convened a sitting on October 9, 2024, where it was agreed that the department be invited to appear before the committee on November 6, 2024 at 11 a.m. in the committee room to provide the further clarification on the matter at the review, among other issues. This was formalized through the dispatch of letter referenced as NCA/CLRK/14/CEC lands /43/24, which was dated October 18, 2024. On the scheduled date, the CECM in charge of the department appeared before the committee and provided some of the requested information regarding the matter under review. Committee findings. Mr. Speaker, sir, in a letter dated 14th November 2023, referenced Nyandarua /LPPU ND /ADM.28 Volume 2/20, the Department of the Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development submitted the following response to the committee's resolution. That the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development provide a progress report within 30 days on the purchase of land for the establishment of dumping sites in the country. 2, that the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development follow up within 30 days on the physical and part development plans to have not been approved for the development of towns and urban centers in Nyandarua County, and take appropriate measures to prevent the use of private land and road reserves as holding areas for waste and garbage awaiting transportation. In reference to letter NCA/CLRK/14/CEC lands /43/24 dated October 18, 2024, the Department of Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development provided the following updates. The department is actively working on the establishment of County Land Bank. As part of this process, the technical team has gathered data on public land from various key informants and sources. In reviewing the County Land Allocation Committee (CALC) report, the team identified the following parcels of land that were acquired for use as dump sites. Land identification, Nyandarua /Shamata /1880. Shamata, it is in Shamata, dump site. It is not in use. Title deed was issued on 21st June 2007. And Nyandarua Marewa /1571. Marewa, it is in Marewa dump site. It is not in use. Title deed was issued on May 1, 1999 for a large area of approximately 0.405 hectares not 0.6 hectares as initially stated. The plot has not been confirmed on the ground. Additionally, the department noted that there are lots designated for dump sites in the development plans of urban areas by the de facto local authorities. However, the department has not yet confirmed the actual status of these sites on the ground. The department also stated that there was no budget allocation for land acquisition for dump sites in the current financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee recommended that, arising from the above, the committee recommends that the CECM Department of LPP and UD does, in collaboration with the relevant stakeholders, identify large parcels suitable for solid waste management and dump sites, and within 60 days to provide a detailed report on land acquisition for solid waste management. 2, conduct comprehensive field verification for large parcels, such as Namba, Nyandarua, Shamata, 1880, and Nyandarua, Malewa, 1574, and within 30 days to provide a report on their suitability and availability for use in solid waste management. 3, relocate, prioritize funding for solid waste management, and within 60 days provide a detailed report on the budget allocation for land acquisition purposes. And 4, within 90 days, submit the physical plans for the 10 urban centers to the County Assembly for the necessary consideration. In conclusion, therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee remains committed to ensuring that Nyandarua County adopts a comprehensive and suitable approach to solid waste management. The recommendations outlined above are intended to address the key concerns raised and to guide the Department of Land, Physical Planning and Urban Development in fulfilling its mandate. The committee will continue to monitor progress closely and expects the department to take immediate action to resolve the issues raised in this report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I call Honorable Ibrahim Maina to second.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Bashir. Thank you. I propose a question, which is that this House does adopt the report of the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning, and Urban Development on garbage collection and dumping sites across the county as a report of the House and the recommendations therein as the resolution of the House. Yes, Honorable Mbogo, Member for Eru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I'll start by commending the well-done job by the Committee on Lands. This is an issue that has been a thorn on the flesh in this county, Mr. Speaker. We have lamented and lamented them again. But I was expecting when they come to the recommendations, they would have cited the way the other counties or other people are going, in where we don't only concentrate on RAD for solid waste management. Mr. Speaker, I don't have the figurative budget of the solid waste management money that was in the budget, but I think if we change our mindset as a county, that's my suggestion, and then we go to public-private partnership in where we directly contract people to manage the solid waste as other counties are doing, it would be better. These days, Mr. Speaker, we are not concentrating on that. When we go on the issue of managing solid waste, we are thinking of different priorities. There is incineration, in where we are dealing with solid waste that cannot be disposed even after composition, rad feeding, or even recycling. So in a nutshell, Mr. Speaker, I was expecting myself, they would have come up with a recommendation there in the motion saying that we move from
controlling the solid waste money, the solid waste ourselves, and then we can go contracting. For instance, when you go to Nairobi County, they don't have a big yard where they control or where they manage their solid waste. What they do is that they contract private people. They don't care where you take it, provided you are approved by NEMA and other fraternities, you go and control the compost you are having or rather the solid waste. If we move that way, it will be of more impact to the county government of Nyandarua rather than thinking of purchasing of land, controlling a lot of fuel. I don't have, I've said from my start, when I started contributing, I don't have the figurative budget. But if you compare the budget that is annexed or the budget that is in the budget cycle and the comparison of contracting work whereby we bring in public-private partnership would be better. I remember in my own Rokomungedo, that is Kasuku town, when we had a lot of garbage ragging from everywhere, and then a person comes in and he says or he suggests to us that we, together with the health department, that he wants a compost that is there. 2 days time, it is done. So if we move to the issue of contracting, the local contractors, it would have been better. Otherwise, it's a very compost report. We'll be waiting after we move and it is approved. We'll be waiting with the 90 days that are approved to do a follow-up and see. Because from whatever I said, if there is something that is shameful to all the local mungedos that we have in our society, is the management of the compost and the solid waste. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I support the same.
Thank you, Honorable Mbo, Honorable Duyan. And you can also update us how far it's long since you know how your academic is moving on. You must have finished by now.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there can never be a better way to start off this debate, and especially my contribution, than from the note that you've just, the comment that you've made. You know, as from the University of Nairobi, I have a challenge. And as you are aware, and this is everywhere in the media, and even those of us who are like for the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, allude to the fact that we don't want a noise. We only watch TVs and listen to news because noise give us headache. There's a lot of noise about the lecturers' strike.
Point of information, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Gadongo, to the House or to the member?
To the member.
Yes.
You know, Honorable Speaker, as I stand here, I sympathize with my brother, Honorable Kayani, Honorable Engineer Kayani. You know, Honorable Speaker, the education in this country has changed in a great way, Honorable Speaker. A medical degree, which ought to be taken in 6 years, Honorable Speaker, it is going for 11 years. And, Honorable Speaker, it is not even in the field that is doing, that is the climate change field. Honorable Speaker, he ought to have finished in 3 years. Honorable Speaker, he's in his 7th year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, that information ought to have been to the House, not to the member, because he's the one who can tell us where he is.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Gadongo is a victim of circumstances. He was a classmate to the student now in this Honorable House who's doing PhD. How he fell off the way is a story for another day. I don't want to waste any time in responding to him, you know, pointing fingers at others, and yet he's a wayward. He fell out of the way. And his classmate is doing his PhD. I was also a bit embarrassed, when I saw him attending the graduation ceremony of his classmate, and he was not in the list. But anyway, that notwithstanding, we wish him well as he does his 7th year in a class that his colleague just graduated. Honorable Speaker, I was saying before I was rudely interrupted by Honorable Gadongo that it is in public news that the lecturers in the universities are on strike. I don't know whether lecturers in the school are also are on strike. If they are not, then he can graduate in 3 days. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to contribute to this debate, although I came a bit late, and being a scholar and a student in this area, it is true I haven't graduated. It's also true, given the circumstances that in the country, that I'm very likely to graduate this year, because I cannot graduate myself. Those who teach me are on strike, and they're the ones who confirm me. And Honorable Kamwana is aware about the challenges that we're going through. So I would beg that you spare that question from me this year, because I cannot help it. They say what you cannot fight, don't start. So I'm a victim of circumstances, just like Honorable Gadango is, only that I'm lucky not to have been a classmate to a colleague and failed to finish the same time. Honorable Speaker, I want to contribute to the report or the motion. Is it the motion or the report? I came a bit late. The motion that was tabled by the chair Land. And I want to just dwell on one or two aspects. And I will allow me, Honorable Speaker, to base my discourse on the academics in as far as, the information, and again, predicating the same. Honorable Speaker, I must use vocabularies that Gadogo doesn't understand. Predicating my discourse on what Honorable Mbogo has just contributed on regarding a term he used called landfill. And landfill, Honorable Speaker, if you look at your Wikipedia, for those who have the tablets that were provided by this Honorable House, it is a site for the disposal of waste material, and says it is one of the oldest and most common form of waste disposal. Although the systematic barrier of waste with daily, intermediate, and final covers only began in the 1940s. I hope the chairman takes note of this. In the past, the waste was simply left in piles or thrown into pits known as archaeology, known in archaeology as maidens. I hope Gadongo takes note of that. He can use that for his research. Honorable Speaker, I want to predicate my discussion there. As being a climate change student, when we are doing our studies, there is a term we mostly use, and it's also conventionally used in governance, called sustainable development. It's a statement or a term that is used to describe how we should live and make this life that we're living on this planet livable. I've used the term live, and I've used livable. Now, how you do your things must be predicated on three pillars of sustainability. One, you must take care, it's called the 3P, and I'll be adding in a second. It's called the 3P. The 1P is the planet, the 2nd P is the profit, and the 3rd P is the people. If you don't like that, then use the 3 E's, where one of the E talks about the ecology. If you don't like ecology, say environment. The other one talks about equity. Equity basically deals with the people. And the 3rd one deals with the economy. All the undertakings that we do, even sitting here, are based on building the economy, coming up with a profit. And as you do that, you must do that sustainably, bearing in mind that even the other people who are not directly involved in your enterprise must also benefit, and that's ecology. Now, while you're doing this, another term kicks in. It is called the 3R. Interesting course it is, climate change. 3R stands for Honorable Gadongo. And this is in usage of resources God has given to us, that you must use them, right? The first R stands for reuse, reduce, reuse, or recycle. Nothing goes to waste. And I'm talking about this in the light of the solid waste management. How can we capitalize on the 3R principle? How can we reduce the wastage, the creation of waste? How can we recycle that which you have produced or used? And how can we, reduce, reuse, recycle. How can we also make use of that which we have produced? And that is what Honorable Bogo was saying. Can we also bring in the aspect of the 3P, where we have, the private sector coming in to reuse or make use of the refuse that we have generated? And this is the thinking that this country needs to take. Buying land for, developing landfill is not necessary. Honorable Speaker, again, I also want to bring another aspect that's doing rounds, and I know Honorable Gadogo hold his peace. You have heard about the vaccination of animals, and I wish the Honorable Chair Kiruka was here to hear about this. This is information that's with all of us. And members have been asked to make sure their communities make animals, cows, available for vaccination. It's a political statement, but it's equally mischievous. And that has an aspect or something to do with what refuse in a pile does. Methane emission, what I call the GHG emissions. And one of the biggest GHG that contributes to global warming and therefore climate change is methane. Methane comes from two sources. One, from the decomposition of the organic waste that is that you find in the landfill, and the other one is from animals. Now, a very interesting person called Bill Gates, who thinks about money all the time, has found out that if he inoculates animals, they will end up producing less methane. And that's all about the hula baloo about bringing your animals for vaccination. And when that does happen, he compiles and documents how much methane reduction he has been able to deal with. And he therefore earns, and I'm adding my contribution, what we call carbon credit. You stock animals in your house, you don't know that you can reduce the methane emissions and therefore earn carbon credits. Bill Gates has found out that. And with his namesake, the Kenyan Bill, they have formed a partnership and they want to inoculate all your animals and therefore claim carbon credits. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, even us, and I wish Honorable Carlo Jarara was here, because he's doing something very good in terms of the reuse of organic waste, and therefore reducing methane emission. Honorable Speaker, I would support the point that Honorable Bogo said, that rather than buy land to stockpile or landfill with garbage, let us contract people to make better use of that. Generate fertilizer, organic fertilizer. I saw Kenya breweries are doing recycling of bottles. Again, take that opportunity to make money from recycled bottles. Number 3, also use plastic bottles to produce products that are used for road construction. That will be very interesting for Honorable Bogo, Chair Roads. And also generation of fertilizer, organic fertilizer for those who cares, to know how to move away from chemical fertilizers. And all these are resources that can be made use of. Rather than buy land to stockpile, let us contract people to be able to handle our resources, our refuse in a more profitable manner, bearing in mind the principle of the 3R, bearing in mind the aspect of the sustainable development, predicating the same on the principles and the pillars of sustainability. That is the social, that is the people, which is the social, that is the profit, and the planet, which is the ecology. Too much academic jargon, so that informs that Honorable Gadungu, that my time at the University of Nairobi is not being squandered or wasted. It's only that my lecturers are on strike. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Muhindi, then you go to Honorable Gadungu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. When I was young, I used to watch Parliament a lot. And whenever James Orengo spoke, even Mwai Kibaki, then he was the leader of opposition, would ask, what else is there to add? So it has become a problem talking in this house whenever the doyen speaks. But I just want to add something small to the committee, and it's just a suggestion. And this one I saw from the Laikipia County government. There is a landfill or a dump site in Nanyuki. And there is a guy called Francis, and he's recycling glass, plastic, and I think he's doing waste plastic bottles, associated plastics, waste glass, and polythene paper, and he's using it to make cabro. And he was given a tender by the Nanyuki Water and Sanitary Company, and he's the one who has put cabro within that area. So as we go into the public-private partnership, maybe the committee could do some benchmarking and look at what those people are doing. Because if he says to create a square meter of cabro, you need 100 kgs of waste.
Point of information, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Kayani.
Yeah.
To the member or to the House?
Point of information is to the member and to the House as well. What he just talked about, the committee looking at how that will be done, is more related to trade. And therefore, we have a board that was the Board for Investment and Trade that could take up that matter and look for the opportunities and exploit them. And therefore, that at that point, that matter departs from the Committee on Lands to the committee that I chair, which has the competence and capacities to be able to take it forward. Thank you.
Honorable Mohili?
Just as I finish, the guy says for a square meter of cabro, he needs 100 kgs, which is that 5 kg of waste polythene paper, that 5 kgs of waste plastic bottles and assorted plastics, and 30 kgs of waste glass ground to a flour. If you look at that, if you're taking 100 kgs from that waste, even if we are going to give it to the public, to the private people, but we also are going to create jobs if it is possible to make this viable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate you for this timely motion. But I would like to remind the Doyen. I have heard him quote Bill Gates. You know, he might have been overtaken by events, Honorable Speaker, and might still be thinking that Bill Gates is the richest man in the world. He's in position 6 at the moment, and the richest man in the world is Elon Musk, Honorable Speaker, and I'm sure he was born in the 70s, just like Kayani. So, Honorable Speaker, that is information I wanted to bring to him, and he can as well consult the tablet which has been provided by this assembly so that he can know Bill Gates is no longer the richest man in the world. So, Honorable Speaker, I would like to appreciate this timely motion, despite the fact that looking at it, Honorable Speaker, I still feel we have a long way to go on waste management, Honorable Speaker, because I get to understand that the committee was talking of purchasing of land. And Honorable Speaker, this purchasing of land is a thorn in the flesh because no one wants these dumping sites to be put into their praises, Honorable Speaker. And as well, Honorable Speaker, we have talked and talked and talked. And you know, for us, we are registrators. We are not implementers, Honorable Speaker. I think this is a high time the executive took upon this matter with the seriousness that it deserves, because we need to keep our towns, we need to keep our centers, we need to keep our municipalities in the cleanest way possible, Honorable Speaker. And my idea, which I've at times shared, is that if we could even get a way we could lease land from the Kenya Forest Service, Honorable Speaker, and then have contract terms that the land that we shall be given to put our waste, when it decomposes, Honorable Speaker, we can put that land into forest. And all of Nyandarua, we are surrounded by forests. That's an avenue, Honorable Speaker, we would pursue, and an avenue which would have less politics, Honorable Speaker. As well, on this issue of environment, I would say, I think this issue has been placed in the wrong department, Honorable Speaker, and through grapevines, it's like this issue will be transferred to where it rightfully belongs, because this department rightly belongs to the Department of Environment and Climate Change, Honorable Speaker, so that we deal with our waste in the 21st century way, Honorable Speaker, such that those people who are concerned with climate change, and we have the Doyen here, who is an expert, those are the people who we should entrust in our waste management, Honorable Speaker. On the same note, Honorable Speaker, there is an idea. Yep.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Kayin, let him finish, then I'll come back to you, please.
You know, Honorable Speaker, it is in the tradition of Honorable Kayani because he belongs to the...
So, Honorable Gagongo, when I protect you, don't attack, just proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I was saying there is a suggestion which has been given by Honorable Bogo, the member for Ware Ward, and that is the way to go, Honorable Speaker. Can we, as a county, think of a way of contracting our waste management, Honorable Speaker, such that if it is the waste here in Orkarau, someone is given a contract to do it, Honorable Speaker, because at times in the departmental level, it seems not to be working. If someone was to be given a contract, I'm sure more employment will be created. We would see, even in small trading center, like Dogino, where I come from, we can have people with donkeys given responsibilities, maybe twice in a week, to collect all the garbage there. And Honorable Speaker, as Honorable Bogo had observed, when you collect the garbage, you know where, when you collect the garbage, you will know where to take it in the meantime, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure if you are given that contract, you will not come to us, like what we have done with Honorable Mary Kawanjiro here. Her people refers her to smart brain. What is happening, where we come from, is that we are even going and getting empty quarries. We are giving the government a solution. We are getting empty quarries from residents, or the waste which is being collected all the way from Daragwa Trading Center, Gwakongo Trading Center, and Mairunya. We get a quarry, and people are appreciating. There were there were dams which were being called household dams, which were done without public participation in the last regime. So those dams no longer hold water, and they have wasted people's farms. And people are more than willing, so that we refill those household dams with the waste, and then after that we cover it, and they are really appreciative, and they want it to be done. So that would be a temporary way before we get a permanent solution. So, Honorable Speaker, I feel as a house we still have a wrong way to go to help the executive with ideas of how they will implement these menace of waste management. Without those few many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I thank you.
We can go to Honorable Mika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And first, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate every effort that has come to this issue of solid waste management. I've always thought I am the only one who has a problem, because every other time, after every 1 month, after every 2 months, there is an issue of garbage in Maironya town, where in my ward, Mr. Speaker. And I want to appreciate Mheshimiwa Honorable Gathongu, who brought up the issue in this assembly, and also the Department of Lands for responding and bringing up this motion to the assembly. However, Mr. Speaker, because I have undergone a lot of challenges and problems in this waste management, since when I was the CC for water and environment, in my mind I've been doing research and thinking about how do we really solve the problem of garbage in this county, Mr. Speaker. And I was close to getting a few solutions, but when I approached the clerkship, they told me to wait for this motion. If I feel not satisfied with the information and recommendation given, I still have an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to present to this House another motion that will capture maybe the aspiration, and my colleague members will also contribute to that motion, Mr. Speaker. And when I conclude my remarks, Mr. Speaker, I'll be requesting for an amendment and also another request, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of garbage has been a serious issue, Mr. Speaker. One, in Nyandarua County, it is a contradiction. Why do I say it is a contradiction of the Constitution? It is because the department that is tasked, the Department of Health, that is tasked to do the waste management, In fact, in the Constitution, it is supposed to oversight. So why I'm saying is a contradiction. Two bodies cannot implement and oversight. In our case in Nyandarua County, the Department of Health implements and it oversights itself. So in that is a contradiction that needs to be sorted out. Number two, the solid waste management, Mr. Speaker, and I'm speaking into the motion that is before us, has become political in Nyandarua County. Any person who wants to settle political scores, they look for garbage sites in this county. They take the media there, and because they know it's a challenge that has not been solved, and people will be too much against any garbage that is in our town center, people have made this issue political issue, and that is why, as an assembly, Mr. Speaker, we have to deal with it. And number three, Mr. Speaker, the issue of resource allocation on the garbage has been an issue also. If you do your research, and I'm sure many have done that, our resource allocation for the solid waste management has been going down over years. Instead, the right way is it should go up. But over time, it has not been taken seriously, Mr. Speaker. And any allocation, any year we do the budget, the allocation for solid waste management is reduced, not putting into consideration the amount of resources that is needed for the solid waste management, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to say the recommendations here are okay and they are very all right. We need to have land for that, but with land, without the proper management, then we will have an issue, Mr. Speaker. Their recommendations are quite good, that each and every ward get site for the garbage. I don't know whether that is sustainable. We were discussing with other members and we felt like each ward managing their waste might not be sustainable because of lack of resources that we have. But if with proper management, we can have one landfill per sub-county, or even at the county level, but with proper management, it can be managed well. So the issue here, Mr. Speaker, is not about the land. We will buy the land, and Mheshimiwa Gazongo has land in his area. But is it being used for the garbage as landfills? No. Shamata, there's a recommendation. Malewa, there's a recommendation. But the issue is not land. The issue is the solid waste management. Mr. Speaker, there's also another issue that is serious. Is about where the solid management function should be placed. As we speak, I heard Mheshimiwa Gazongo recommend that it should be under the Department of Environment. Ideally, that should be correct. But again, Mr. Speaker, we have municipalities that one of their functions is the solid management. So do we place it to the environment? Do we place it to the municipalities? Which also is correct because municipalities, that is their function. Again, another question comes. In Nyandarua, how many municipalities do we have? All our towns within the municipality. So if you place the waste management policy function in the municipality, then it means we leave other towns outside. If it remains in the health department, Mr. Speaker, the contradiction I said in the Constitution comes in. You implement and you oversight. So this is the elephant in the house. We really need to think deeper on this issue and discuss well where the solid waste management should be placed. Mr. Speaker, most of the solid waste management, solid waste, or even liquid waste, it's majorly in our town centers and our trading centers. Another question would come, can it be placed under the Department of Trade, where they are the owners of the shops, they are the owners of the traders? Then the question will come, if it is placed under trade, what about the rural waste management. So there are a lot of issues that needs to be sorted out, Mr. Speaker. And as an assembly, yes, I am supporting this motion, and we need to pass it now. But Mr. Speaker, if I'm allowed, I will be moving another motion in this assembly, seeking clarification or even discussion on where do we place the solid waste management. We might say health, we might say environment, we might say trade, because it's at the market centers. We might say also the municipalities. But we really need to think critically and do a lot of research, and I'm requesting the clerkship to help me do a lot of research on where exactly we should place this solid waste management. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I want to support the recommendation of the committee, but also, Mr. Speaker, as we wait for my motion that would be coming, I want to move an amendment to the recommendation to include an additional recommendation, if I'm allowed by you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Milka, you can proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move, an additional recommendation in form of a motion that we, as much as we want to think about buying land and solid waste management, there's a critical issue that the Committee on Health and also the Department of Health must bring to our attention before we even proceed with the other issues, and that is the policy. This government does not work without a policy. Whether national government or county government, they do not work without a policy. Therefore, even if we talk about buying land, we talk about transferring the functions, we talk about municipality, without a policy, Mr. Speaker, we'll just be talking empty rhetorics without even implementation. So as we wait for the other issues, Mr. Speaker, and part of the recommendation of this motion, I wish to move a motion of amendment to this report, that the report be amended to introduce an additional recommendation, and a recommendation number 5 to read as follows. The County Executive Committee, through the County Executive Committee member for Health Services, does, within 90 days, formulate and submit to this House a Nyandarua County Sustainable Solid Waste Management Policy and Act for consideration by the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Milka.
I call Honorable Kayani to second.
Yes, Honorable Kayani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, that's a quick ambush from my sister, Honorable Milka. Indeed, that is a very wise decision she's made. I was just contemplating and internalizing that amendment. Well, as I find it fitting, and I actually support, as a second, what was crossing my mind was the inclusion of the CECM public health. Begs my question whether that is the correct CCM who should be able to handling that. Solid waste management is domiciled in which, is it lands? And if it is not lands, why was the chairman for lands, moving this motion? Why not health? It kind of got me, and it really, as much as I am seconding it, I was seeking indulgence, Honorable Speaker, whether it sits pretty to say CCM public health, or is it lands? And if it was health, then why did Chairman Lands move the motion? Gets me a bit confused. But that notwithstanding, the proposed amendment sits pretty, and indeed would help to inform the way we move forward on this matter. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, part say for that section that needs your clarification and your indulgence, Honorable Speaker, I am in total secondment of the proposed amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. I now propose the question, which is that the report be amended to introduce an additional recommendation, and a recommendation number 5 to read as follows. The County Executive Committee, through the County Executive Committee member for Health Services, does within 90 days formulate and submit to this House a Nyandarua County Sustainable Solid Management Policy Act for consideration by the House. Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I greatly appreciate the report by the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning, and Urban Development, and I greatly appreciate also the contributions by honorable members concerning this very emotive topic on garbage correction and solid waste management. In addition, Mr. Speaker, my concern is the laxity and the casual manner in which the executive take the issue.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are debating the amendment motion by Honorable Wilker, not the main report. So we have debated. So debate along the line as to whether the recommendation for the report to be amended to include clause number 5 in the recommendations where they had reached clause number 4, that the County Executive Committee, through the County Executive Committee member for Health Service, does within 90 days formulate and submit to this House a Nyandarua County Sustainable Solid Waste Management Policy and Act for consideration by the House. Then upon conclusion that, we'll go back to the main report.
Obliged, Honorable Speaker. I support the amendment, Honorable Speaker, owing to the fact that there is confusion on who is really responsible. In addition to that, Honorable Speaker, is that currently, as it is domiciled in the Department of Health, it is important to note that there is no particular separate budget for the solid waste management, as it is combined wholesome with the budget for Department of Health. Upon inquiry, Mr. Speaker, because this has been a very thorny issue, I realized that in the Department of Health, of Public Health, where it is domiciled, it was only provided with only 1 million Kenya shillings in the budget for fuel to manage the solid waste in the whole county, against a requirement and submitted budget of 48 million. That is why there is a very great need to place it where it belongs and to bring a clear policy on where it belongs, Mr. Speaker, whether it is in the Department of Health, and then goes the contradiction, because the public health should act as an oversight to the very subject that it is implementing. Only the Department of Environment and Climate Change, or even trade, because, Honorable Speaker, they ask for taxes in form of license fee, and taxes should be accompanied by services. Otherwise, they should not collect taxes if they are not providing the services. Honorable Speaker, I totally support the recommendations and call the mover to respond.
Yes, Honorable, you didn't have to call the mover because the other parties wanted to contribute. That's why I saw Honorable Ibrahim on his feet.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. In support of recommendation number 5, save for one issue where they have recommended that the CCM Health should bring the policy. We have a scenario, Honorable Speaker, It was only yesterday that we revoked a gazette notice on transfer of factions on municipalities, because they were among the factions that were transferred to municipalities is on solid waste management. When we now give this recommendation that CCM Health should check on this issue of solid waste in municipalities, there are contradictions. It's of my opinion that instead of putting CCM Health, we indicate that the relevant authority within the executive to handle the issue of policy, the gap on policy management, on solid waste management, so that we don't give one department the full mandate to handle this solid waste, where, especially in municipalities, the board are supposed to manage this issue within the municipalities. So I support the recommendation, save on CCM Health, and my view is the relevant authorities to deal with this issue. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Bai.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. What I have, and I believe you have realized as the chair of the House, Honorable Kayan indicated that it is somehow contradicting, because as you can realize that the motion was brought by the Department of Road.
Yes, Honorable Bai, yes. I have the ruling for that.
Okay.
The issue that had been raised by Honorable Kayeni, yes, in regard to clarification, in fact, is ready. So probably for now, move along the line of either supporting or not supporting the recommendation for the amendment that has been raised by Honorable Milka. Then we'll come to that issue.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Even though I'm not objecting the changes that are brought by Honorable Milka, I would like to agree with one of my colleague, Honorable Ibrahim, that we should not stick on the Department of Health. Instead, we should say the relevant department should provide the policy so that we can be able to get the right, because we are now confused.
Okay. You Honorable Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In support from Honorable Members Milka, I'm in support, Mr. Speaker. Although in the process, Mr. Speaker, allow me just to congratulate my chair for LAD, Mr. Honorable Gashino, for the good work he has been doing, Mr. Speaker. Although at the other side, I'm a member of the committee. Although, Mr. Speaker, my word is, or my question is, for how long shall we, as our honor members, keep on repeating things that have been said in this house for so many years? I think this is not the first time for this honorable house to discuss about the issue of garbage collection, Mr. Speaker. So in my request is that, Mr. Speaker, we are here to walk our talk. In this our county, Mr. Speaker, it's a big shame that Mr. Speaker, we can't manage garbage collection. Then, if we can't manage an issue on garbage collection, what else our members, our county members are expecting us to deliver? So my request is, Mr. Speaker, that we focus on this issue of garbage collection seriously, and we come to deal with it seriously, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Dan. Honorable Kamona. And Honorable Kamona, yes, we are still in the, I noted Honorable Dan has deviated. Yes. We are still in the motion, yep, to support or not support the amendment by Honorable Milka. So move along that line, so that now when we come back to the main report, we debate it.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. On the outset, let me
tell you that I'm a good student, and you have been able to say severally that we develop our issues on the matters to do with the amendments as it has been requested by Honorable Wanjiru. Otherwise, however, I don't want to say that the other members didn't have something to say, but I know you are going to give us, in any case, another chance to say something about the motion as it has been brought by Honorable Chairman, Honorable Gashino. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to support that the amendments be, and more specifically concerning the policy, be included that the CCM for health to do this work, because I'm in private information, and also I know most of the members know that the department has been preparing this policy. It's only that it has taken too long to come to the assembly. So when we say that maybe it be demonstrated in other departments, it may take a lot of time. How, Honorable Speaker, I request that although Honorable Wanjiru had requested 90 days, that's a lot of time. How I propose that it can be done in a lesser time, and in this case, 60 days. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I like to support the amendment as put it by Honorable Milka. And Honorable Speaker, this county, there are things that should be considered as matters of importance. You realize that, Honorable Speaker, that in Nyandarua, everywhere there is a hue and cry in regard to the solid waste management. And with no policy at hand, Honorable Speaker, this must be a problem to us. You realize that, Honorable Speaker, we have 3 municipals. That is Orokarau Municipal, Engineer, and Mairoinya. And one of the functions of the municipals is on how they should manage the solid and liquid waste. And with no a proper roadmap in regard to that, there must be a problem. Honorable Speaker, not necessarily that every ward to manage the waste as per se, but how are we going to manage our solid waste in the entirety within the county? And therefore, with a proper policy, Honorable Speaker, everything will be cured in that. And that's why I come in handy to support to that. And Honorable Speaker, I'm one of the victims where one of the guy from the private sector came to my ward, and he found that I have a perimeter wall of about half an acre where the waste from the Nyandarua towns is being put. And he told me that he can be able to manage that solid waste as a pilot project, Honorable Speaker. So in the policy making, this assembly should be involving each and every stakeholder in regard to that, who are the interested party. And he came out with a very formidable idea on how we can be able to manage the solid waste without using a lot of money. And in return, Honorable Speaker, I realized that solid waste is a gold mine. It's a gold mine in a way that what is there can be managed and now be changed into a profitable making business. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, I start to support the agenda of coming out with a policy. Actually, Honorable Speaker, this is a long overdue. This is something that should be there. Because having been the assembly, the third assembly, and already we have learned from the first, the second, in fact, we have learned from the defunct local government issues pertaining to solid waste. We have learned from the first regime, the second regime, now we're in the third regime. So this is a long overdue, and it's something that should be done ASAP. And I support, Honorable Speaker.
Maybe you can call the mover.
In that regard, Honorable Speaker, I beg to call the mover.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. for granting us that opportunity so that we can discuss about this issue of solid waste management and the policy. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleagues because they understand the importance of a policy in this discussion of solid waste management, Mr. Speaker. There are sentiments that were said earlier on where it should be placed. That itself is a contradiction, Mr. Speaker, and as I said earlier, I'm preparing a motion to give further recommendation to the executive as they plan the policy, then we'll give further recommendation to them in another motion that will come in this assembly. However, for now, and I want to urge my colleague members that if we leave it vague and open, we may not have that policy. And that is why I had said specifically CCM Health, because currently it's under the CCM Health. So if we leave it vague, before they make a decision where, then we will wait another many years for that policy to come to this assembly. However, if the word CCM Health is not sitting so well in this assembly, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether we can say the cabinet itself. If it is around, we can say the cabinet itself, because all those departments sits in the cabinet. And if the word CCM Health is not sitting in well, then we could say the cabinet to bring that draft policy within the 90 days or the 60 days, as Honorable Kamwana had recommended. I feel 90 days is too much. We need to be specific that they need to bring it within maybe 60 days. If in your ruling you find health is not proper, then we could say the cabinet, where every other department that is mentioned sits. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I move.
So maybe Honorable Milka, you know you are the mover of this motion, and it is the House that will vote the nays and the ayes. So what exactly do I put in the question? Cabinet or CC Health?
All right. The CCM, from the feeling of members, and I can see them nodding, they are saying the CCM Health should bring that policy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. I now put the question, which is that the report be amended to introduce an additional recommendation, under recommendation number 5, to read as follows: that the County Executive Committee, through the County Executive Committee, Member for Health Services, does within 90 days formulate and submit to this House a Nyandarua County Sustainable Solid Management, Waste Management Policy, and act for consideration by the House. May those of a similar opinion say aye. May those of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, on the issue that had been raised by Honorable Kayeni, with regards to the clarification that Honorable Kayeni sought, the Committee on Lands prepared the report on garbage collection and dumping sites within specific reference to availability of land for the same. As we speak, solid waste management is still domiciled at the Department of Health Services. Honorable members, you will also realize that during yesterday's afternoon sitting, this House adopted recommendations to revoke the transfers of functions to municipalities. Honorable members, we now go back to the main debate. Honorable Mbai.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like first to recommend the findings and recommendations that were brought by the Committee of RAD. And I am happy that they have realized that there is much need to be done to ensure that we solve this challenge of solid waste management once and for good. For us now to walk the talk, Honorable Speaker, we need to ensure that we include what we call the public-private partnership, so that we can have allocation of every ward depending on the kind of waste that you produce, Honorable Speaker. Because, of course, Honorable Speaker, you realize that there is some wards that produce much more waste than the other, depending with the size of the centers that they have, Honorable Speaker, so that we can be able to solve this challenge. Sometimes back 2 months ago, in my ward at area called Mawingu, a certain person decided to collect the waste, Honorable Speaker, and he ensured that he banned those kind of waste that can not be used as manure, and after that he collected the remains and dumped them in his tree plantation farm. And you could realize that that's something that was done within the 2 days, and my center remained one of the very cleanest center within that time. So when we were discussing that matter with traders around, they were even supporting the private partnership. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, it is now the highest time so that we can close this gap, or we can close this topic once and for good. Because if we left it the way it is today, even the next regime or the next leaders who will be in this house, they will just continue with the same talk, and there will be no solution. Remember the issue of buying the RAD. We have like the RAD in Kipipiri sub-county, somewhere in Miharati. We went there as members of Kipipiri, I together with the Honorable Deputy Speaker and the other leaders of Kipipiri. We received a heavy resistance from the members of the community, because they don't want to see such a thing in their area, and they have the understandable issues, because the time they opened that loophole some years back, the Nyandarua hospital, the engineer hospital, they took their remains or their waste in that area, and they realized that they even dumped some very how can you call it? We cannot be. They dropped some trashes that cannot even be mentioned in this house, Honorable Speaker. So for that reason, even having the RAD empowered is not the solution. That will not be the solution. The solution will be, how are we going now to ensure that we recycle those trashes? Honorable Speaker, we are having a serious challenge with the diapers in this county. And if people want to confirm, Honorable members, I visited just the site next to this house, and you realize that unless now we have like a very secured, protected, and fenced location where we can use as at a dump site, and also do what we call the recycling, where some of the remains that can be used as mature can be able to be taken to the tree plantations farms, then we'll end up expressing and talking the same thing from this time, even in future. Finally, Honorable Speaker, we need to identify, in the meantime, which departments that will be responsible to this matter. Because the issue to do with waste management, it is in health. There we understand. On the other end, we need to know what is the work of environment. Let us this house benchmark to our nearest counties. Like in Nakuru, they are not complaining about waste management, yet the town is very big. The Nakuru county is very developed. We have Laikipia. We have one of the very smallest county. Yes, we are still struggling with very small things that should be solved, and we move forward. I will support it. I support the work that was done by the committee, and I request that we include the private-public partnership so that we can have an open. If I feel that I would like my waste to be managed by a private entity, nothing will stop that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mbai. We go to Honorable Kate, then Honorable Denji.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to add my voice.
Maybe, Honorable Kate, what happened? We miss your Swahili. You're debating Swahili. But you can proceed as you wish.
Honorable Speaker, this is a very emotive issue, and there are terms that I don't think Swahili would best describe. I therefore choose to debate in English today. Thank you. I rise to add my voice to this conversation on sustainable ways of garbage management. First is to even congratulate the committee led by the Honorable Gashino, because of the recommendations that are very noble. One is on the issue of land. Honorable Speaker, I believe that the committee, having looked at land and established that every ward requires land, is looking at the future. Today, Leshao Pond Ward may not be as big and may not be having a lot of waste, but in years to come, Honorable Speaker, there will be more people settling, more land division, and therefore more waste. Look at your way from, as I travel from Maironya to Olkalao, I have observed that between Nyahururu, which is in Laikipia, and Suera, I mean, it is literally a bustling of activities. And in the previous years, Honorable Speaker, was empty lands. You could see the Olbolosat from one side. You could see the mountains in Sharagita from the other end. Today, you can hardly do that. So I believe the issue of land is necessary for every ward. Honorable Speaker, in previous years, I sat in a committee in Laikipia that was able to do sustainable recycling of waste management, and especially plastics, bottles, and a lot of those stuff. And I want to thank the Honorable Mohinde for bringing that issue on board. Maybe just to shed more light onto it, the issue was an innovative initiative that was taken by one of the young fellows from Laikipia. So he had an idea. He wrote to the county government, to the county assembly, on his idea of bringing in plastics to make cabros. The county assembly then established an innovative fund, which it gave to many other innovators to create. That was one of the beneficiaries, and he was given space by the county. That is the kind of initiative we should continue to have in this county. Secondly, it is not only towns that have waste. Laikipia North could be very scarcely populated. However, they have an invasive species known as Opuntia. Opuntia invades their land completely. Opuntia is like a cactus. It has thorns and it is roundish. One from the Innovation Fund, we got people who could recycle that Opuntia to become biogas, and also its fruits were made into wine. So the Opuntia is now less invasive to the people of Laikipia North. I listened to the Honorable Member from Leshao Pond Ward speaking about landfills. Landfills are a traditional way of dealing with garbage collection. And you and I know that plastics, tins, and those kind of wastes take between 20 years and 500 years to decompose. So burying them under is not the solution. We are only spoiling our economy, on our land, if we do that. I remember when I used to come, when I visited Mombasa many years ago, and as I get into the city, there was this stinking garbage on one of the sides. And you know, Mombasa being hot, then you would expect that it smells, it decomposes faster and produces a stinking smell. Today, if you pass there, there are trees. There's a beautiful park where that garbage stood. So I think as members, as we recommend a place to go and benchmark, maybe this would be one of the places that we should visit so that we can have a benchmarking opportunity to see how they managed with the paste. Finally, Honorable Speaker, as I complete, maybe it is important to also let the House know that I run a dairy farm. and I manage my methane gas and my animal waste through a process called vermicomposting, where I use worms to decompose the waste. A process that takes 30 days, and that waste is ready to go to the farm and to grow the plants. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Thank you. You can go to Honorable Benji.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this chance to address the issue and actually to support it. Mr. Speaker, I'm very concerned about the time that the devolution government have used in this song of waste management. Mr. Speaker, if the way the tabulation number 10, just below the document in the gadget, it has indicated that about Shamata, Nyandarua Shamata stroke 1880, the Shamata dump site, which has not been used, which was actually issued on 21st June 2007, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are talking of about 17 years down the line without any step taken. Mr. Speaker, you go to Nyandarua Malewa, stroke 1571. That is Malewa dam site. Still not in use. Mr. Speaker, if you can just watch the remarks that are written there, is that the title deed was issued in 1999, which is about 25 years ago, for the land area of approximately 0.405 hectares. And before, Mr. Speaker, it was above half a hectare. And yet, Mr. Speaker, the plot has not been confirmed on the ground. Mr. Speaker, if you can see, I can see that those people are not serious, Mr. Speaker, because they cannot indicate that they cannot confirm the whereabouts of the land, and they are the custodian of those documents, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that recommendation, it should be effected. These are private, a public facility, Mr. Speaker. It shows just within the department. There are those that know where the documents are, and they should actually provide it within the time given. Mr. Speaker, the land is very important. Honorable Kayani has come up with the 5 principles of waste management. And he has indicated about the 5 R's, Mr. Speaker. That is the refuse, the reduce, the reuse, the repurpose, the recycle. He had even proceeded and said the 4 basic methods of waste management. Mr. Speaker, I will not agree with one of my members who has said that landfill is a time-owned method. In fact, Mr. Speaker, every kind of a waste has its method of disposal. Mr. Speaker, there is this one of incineration, recycling, which can create even jobs. There is another one, that is recycling for future reuse and the compositing. Mr. Speaker, I would recommend that the issue of land is pertinent to this matter, But before I summarize, Mr. Speaker, we had indicated even we can have, because of the finance constraint, that each sub-county should have at least one dump site as we go, so that when we come, as we proceed in the future, we can have every ward having its own dump site. Mr. Speaker, I do support, but I also agree with the Deputy Speaker who had said there is ignorance of time in this management. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, we can start with DS, Honorable DS.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Much has been said about the collection of garbage, solid waste management, and reiterating back to my comment before I was reverted to the motion at hand, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to draw the attention of the House on the casual manner in which the executive is taking the issue of garbage collection and solid waste management. Mr. Speaker, the population we are serving are very much aware of their rights, and they know what they need. They know they elected us, both the executive and ourselves, so that we can serve their needs. And it is very disturbing sights. They are very disturbing sights, Mr. Speaker, when you go to towns and see the sprouting garbage all over the streets, having filled the waiting bays. Mr. Speaker, it is of great concern. If you go to the introduction of this motion, Mr. Speaker, you find that the motion was moved on March 12, 2024.
Yes, what is it? Maybe Honorable Kate, you can consult on Lutons. Yes, Honorable Kate, you're on a point of order.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Sijui kama ni haki Deputy Speaker kuongelelea mara mbili kwa hoja moja ambayo katika kanuni za bunge sio haki.
You know, initially, Deputy Speaker was debating the amendment motion that had been introduced by Honorable Milka. Now he is on the main motion, which Honorable Kashino will be the responder. So these are two different motions, one within the main motion. So, Deputy Speaker, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for clarification. Actually, that is the position. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I was saying is that if we are not careful as the House, we'll be swept together and we'll be sacked. We'll be chased away by the public together with the executive. We have done our role of oversight. Mr. Speaker, on March 12, 2024, this motion was moved by the Honorable Gadongo. And it is very disturbing, Mr. Speaker, that the Committee on Land says they sought information twice until August 15, 2024, just to provide, this was just to provide requisite information from the department. And it could not be provided, Mr. Speaker. So if they cannot provide the requisite information, do we expect them even to buy the land for the disposal of the garbage and the solid waste? Mr. Speaker, it is the high time we question the competence of the departments and put them into question, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, our oversight will just be ignored again. I'm worried that this document, this motion, will just continue gathering dust like the others. And I call upon Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Implementation, to follow up on this 60 days recommendation and the 90 days recommendation, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, we should be calling them out that they are lazy, they are incompetent, Actually, the recommendations that we have been hearing here in this house, it should be them coming up with policy. They should be coming up with initiatives because they have a research department and they have budget for it, Mr. Speaker. This laxity, this laziness must be called out for what it is, Mr. Speaker. It is disturbing that our cities, and we are approaching Christmas, and people from the cities will be coming to visit us. This time they will not be sending greetings, they will be coming, Mr. Speaker. And the sites are not pleasing at all. The impending pandemic, were it to happen, it would be catastrophic, Mr. Speaker. And it could go beyond management. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, mine is to call out the executive. If at all they follow the proceedings online, they should know that we have done our work, and soon we are calling out for who they are, incompetent, and they are lazy, and they are not doing their work. The public have paid them, they are consuming our taxes in vain. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kashomba, then Honorable Kamona and Ibra.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I support the motion that has been brought forward by Chairman for Land and Fiscal Planning and Urban Development on the garbage collection and dump site across the county. And first, I want to appreciate Chairman Land for coming in handy to make sure that the report is ready by today. He had been seeking leave for quite some time. And Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the committee that the issue of the garbage collection in the county, Mr. Speaker, has been an ongoing issue. Bearing in mind, Mr. Speaker, garbage collection and solid waste management is a health hazard, even to our communities where we live in our towns, and also within our places of work, Mr. Speaker. And actually, Mr. Speaker, I agree with some recommendations that have been made by the committee that they have given timelines on when, Mr. Speaker, to come up to this honorable house with some recommendations that will be forwarded to the executive so they can be able to meet the timelines. Well, Mr. Speaker, there's the issue, Mr. Speaker, especially the municipalities that are coming up. We have Virginia municipality and we have the Maori municipality. And Mr. Speaker, I believe that the municipalities in Urban Cities Act is very clear on their charter. They should not depend from the other department. And I believe the chair of the land is aware that we need to have a budget for the municipalities as municipalities. Because at times, Mr. Speaker, you are aware that they do their finances for appropriation from the Ministry of Lands and Urban Development, which is not the way to go. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, even to develop some policies for their municipalities, like the one that we are talking about here about the garbage collection and other regulations that are supposed to be done by the municipalities because they have their own charter. I believe, Mr. Speaker, they should be given that autonomy to make sure, Mr. Speaker, that if this is the issue of land, they should liaise with the department that is supposed to do the garbage collection and also the liquid waste management. And Mr. Speaker, the land is not an issue to some extent. The problem here, Mr. Speaker, is the issue with the NEMA people. Because the NEMA is the one that need to sit down with the Minister of Health and the Minister of Land, and they come up with an amicable solutions so that we can be able, Mr. Speaker, to unlock this problem that has been here in this county and other parts of the country for many years. So, Mr. Speaker, if you go to the land that has been mentioned here by this committee, the Shamata 1880 and also the Marewa 1557, you see like Shamata is about 0.405 hectares. is about an acre, piece of land. I don't believe, Mr. Speaker, it's an enough land to cater for the garbage collection from that sub-county. What we believe, Mr. Speaker, is a county, and what Mr. Speaker would wish to tell the Minister of Health and the Land Committee, because they must work in collaboration to make sure that this dream is a reality. That, Mr. Speaker, there is a land in Malewa, about 30 acres, that border Murugaru and Malewa. Be available, because the owner of the land is willing to buy, to sell the land. But the people from the NEMA and the county government has been delaying the process. And I agree with the Deputy Speaker that we need to wake up as a county from our slabber and agree that some of our business people and business communities are unable to do their businesses because of the environmental hazards that are there. We need their towns and their villages where, Mr. Speaker, they live. So, Mr. Speaker, agree that the Health Department to come up with some policies that will guarantee the future of this county in terms of garbage collection and other solid waste management. Mr. Speaker, you are aware that in Jabini and Turaga, where Kamwana comes from, which is the Gadara land, we have a piece of land, 5 acres piece of land, but the land, Mr. Speaker, will not be used for a dam site or solid waste management, because adjacent that land, Mr. Speaker, the population is too high. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, it's not that we don't have the piece of land to put the dam site, but we need the environment in the NEMA condition on that, Mr. Speaker, could not allow even the county government to go there and dump the garbage management. So, Mr. Speaker, we are appealing, even if the government is unable to buy the land, can they get to the adjacent forest land that we have? There are many from Daragwa to Kinago. Can they sit down the Ministry of Natural Resources from the national government and maybe acquire a piece of land, maybe 30 acres, 100 acres, so that we can be able, Mr. Speaker, to have a memorandum of understanding between the two, the county government and the national government, on whether, Mr. Speaker, we can be able to agree and allow, so that you can be able, Mr. Speaker, to come up with the issue of dump site and solid management within our county. And also, Mr. Speaker, when we are doing the planning and all those, can the Department of Land agree to come up with plans and revisit the plans that were there in those old days? Because our county is growing and centers are coming up. Can we have a plans, those plans that will be able, Mr. Speaker, to undertake the future development projects for our county, even in terms of our waste management and also the solid management? So, Mr. Speaker, in a nutshell, I want just to appreciate and agree that within the restricted timelines that has been forwarded by this committee, that they should be followed. And the chairman of Land and Housing and Fiscal Planning, I also urge the chair of the Committee on Implementation to come in handy and make sure that the timelines that are being set by this committee are met. Mr. Speaker, if not so, this Honorable House, there's no other route other than to charge the Minister for Arts, Minister for Housing, for Health, and other departments that are concerned, that are sleeping on their job. And this House has the power to bite, and we might even bite heavily. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I beg you to leave.
Thank you, Honorable Kamona.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll be brief because a lot has been said.
And we also anticipate that in near future, Honorable Speaker, we are going to have a motion, as it has been suggested by Honorable Wajiro, and we'll be able to tackle this matter in more adept manner. Honorable Speaker, let me say that one major problem that this problem has been facing is the issue of the policy. And now that maybe soon we'll be able to have this policy, we'll be able to have a look at it and be able to see whether it will be able to address most of the issues that is facing the issue of solid waste management and disposal. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to say that once we have the policy, the other question I want to ask this Honorable House is how do we measure the issue of goodwill? Because I want to say, Honorable Speaker, is that this county lacks goodwill. How can we be able to measure this? I think we can be able to measure the goodwill by the extent of the implementation. And Honorable Speaker, two honorable members have spoken and have been able to touch on my on my committee of implementation. And Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you that if I can remind you, sometimes ago, we wanted you to have a look at the standing order of this committee. And when you requested that matter be looked into, we still did not come to a conclusion. Because, Honorable Speaker, I want to tell you that we have been having challenges because over and over reports that come to these departments are at other times requested to go back to the relevant sectoral committees, such that the committee has now been left as a toothless dog. Once members look into this committee whether we can be able to take actions, but reports have been coming, they have been requested at the same time to go back to the relevant committee. I request you kindly so that you can look into this matter again, so that we can be able to change the standing order of this committee so that we can be able to act quickly after the expiry of the timelines that have been set by this assembly. But Honorable Speaker, let me finish by saying that if we can be able to incorporate the four main principles of production on this matter, we can be able to settle this matter once and for all. Quickly, these factors are the land, of capital, Honorable Speaker, the issue of labor, and finally the issue of entrepreneurship, such that we can be able to change all of these into an entrepreneurship kind of aspect, and we can be able to make some money from this way, solid waste management. But as I finish, Honorable Speaker, it is not fair to say that we go and look for forest areas to dump these wastes, knowing very well that we can only be mean as human beings, because in the forest we have other animals and they have their rights. Why should we go and dump these waste into other ecosystems where other living plants and animals are there? I don't think it is fair. It's only that we don't want to think as much as possible. We need to think out of the box and be able to come with the modern methods of waste management. And I think we have that capacity. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Ibra.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, in support of the recommendations from our committee and already the amended resolution, the recommendation number 5, Honorable Speaker, putting in consideration these recommendations and on fulfillment of the same, this will enable to have a proper waste management in this county, because we are lacking even the policies in our county on this waste disposal. Honorable Speaker, putting in consideration that we have been collecting all wastes, all the solid wastes within the county from Kenton to Kalampton and from Morogalo. we have to transport that waste to Orkalau. And when they come to Orkalau, where they are put in the dump site we have in the county, it's only placing them there without managing the same. Because we have several challenges within the county on this issue, if the executive can act as per the recommendation, we are able now to reduce the challenges within, because in this county we don't have adequate waste collection services, and if they can incorporate public-private partnership, we are able even to create job to our unemployed people within the county by giving them that services to collect waste from our towns, and even also having proper dumping sites. This county is still utilizing the old dump sites where they happen to allocate a place within, even inside a town, that this is the collection center, and our towns are growing. The growth is high. Those collection area cannot accommodate whatever we have, especially like a place in Mongalo. This site is already placed in the center of a market, and when they place that waste in that site, they have not even separated what is organic, what is e-waste, and after placing all that waste, probably after 2 days, it will be a problem to even the business persons within the town. Therefore, we should have proper disposal practices within the county, and also the department that is responsible for this, as they do what is supposed to be done by them, they are also supposed to do what is called public awareness on how our people within the county are able even to dispose all these issues. I've seen even the national governments are introducing about yellow, green, the other one I can't recall, but about 3 bins carried on, so that public are aware that if this is the organic waste, they are supposed to place in a certain bin. Also, in this county, we should also educate our people not to be disposing waste in any place they found probably idle, because if you go around our towns, you can't even differentiate where is the dump site, which is the streets. So even the department should do public awareness on this issue. And on challenge number 4, which is lack of sufficient funding and policy, which the members have already addressed a lot during this session, is that with proper funding and policies within this county, we can be able even to manage our waste. Honorable Speaker, we have realized that when the funds are already allocated to departments on this issue, they utilize without proper planning on few months after approval of budget. They normally try to do the correction, but almost the end of the financial year, you hear that we are lacking fuels to collect this waste. So on proper funding and proper planning, we're able now to manage this waste within our counties, and on that, we are able now to lessen the amount of trash within the county and reuse the material more than once, either by the use or recycling the same, and we transform even the waste to proper, maybe by we recover that waste. We have already heard from Honorable Kate that how she is able now to do her waste on probably on from her dairy farm. If all this information can be forwarded to our relevant people within the county, we are able now to at least minimize the challenges within this county. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I do support, and at this moment, I do call the mover to move this motion.
To respond.
To respond, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In fact, many have been said, so I think I would not say much, other than to thank the committee that came up with this report. I would also thank the members for supporting this motion. The members have really discussed this motion with a broad way. In fact, we need to deal with this issue once and for all. Apart from that, Mr. Speaker, the executive or the department are not that cooperating, as Honorable Deputy Speaker said, and we urge them to work harder to save Nyandarua this time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I move.
Thank you, honorable members. I now put the question that this House does adopt the report of the Committee on Lands, Physical Planning and Urban Development on garbage collection and dumping sites across the county as amended as a report of the House and the recommendations therein as a resolution of the House. May those of a similar opinion say aye. May those of a contrary opinion say nay. And the ayes have it. Clerk, next order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have exhausted the business of this particular sitting as appearing in the order paper.
There being no other business to transact under this sitting, I now adjourn the House to Wednesday, the 20th day of November 2024 at 2:30 p.m.